Sarah. Yes, I'm a coffee drinking tea leaf reader, and we're back for another general weekly tea leaf reading for this week. So thank you so much for being here. As always, going to quickly get myself set up here in the background. I use my cell phone to stream, and I have my laptop off over here to the left, so I can actually read your comments. So just turning things off here on my phone. None. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me get myself situated here in the background and read your lovely chats. Dragonfly, hey, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. Esoteric Atlanta, there's Bryce, hi, thanks so much for being here. Linda, things are definitely happening. Things are definitely happening, Linda, for sure. Oh, absolutely. Oh, love and light to you too. Oh, ladies, thank you so much for being here. Hope that you enjoy this weekly tea leaf reading. What a crazy week. Like the past few, I know this is Monday, but honestly, I feel like it's later in the week. I don't know about you, but it just feels like lately the energy has just been in. I almost shouldn't laugh, but the past few days, like 5 days or so, I don't know about you, but it just feels like things are just on edge. Like there's just, it's hard to kind of describe, but just feels like everything is just and just trying to process that. So hopefully this tea leaf reading will give us some, as it always does, insight into this week and what we can expect as the week unfolds. So I have the tea here. I'm going to get that ready. I've already boiled the water, and let's get that going. I'm just going to boil the water one more time. So while that's finishing boiling in the background, let's get through all of these little housekeeping notes here. So as always, quick reminder for a disclaimer. All readings that I do offer are for entertainment purposes only. Big disclaimer in the description box below. But again, usually the short version is, please take what you will and leave what you don't. This is a general weekly tea leaf reading, so some, none, or all of the information here may resonate with you or may apply to you, and if so, that's perfect. It's a general weekly reading. So we'll see what the universe would like us to know for this week, and we'll go from there. So let me see here. I think I'm caught up in the chat. Let's do a quick shout out here to our beautiful moderators. So Dragonfly, it looks like you're up tonight. It's you on deck. So big thank you to Dragonfly for making sure that the chat runs perfectly and calmly and smoothly. That's awesome. So thank you so much, Dragonfly, for all of your help. I literally couldn't do this without any of you. And my beautiful moderators make sure that you allow me to do it, because we figured that out a few months ago. But essentially, it will allow me to do the reading uninterrupted, which allows me to give my best to everyone. So thank you so much. So big thank you, big round of thank you to Dragonfly. Steve, good evening, Steve. Thanks so much for being here. That's awesome. Thanks so much for being here. Linda, note paper ready. Try not to get writer's cramp. I know, I know, I am very bad. I do talk quite quickly, especially when I'm doing, I do talk quite quickly, especially during tea leaf reading. Maybe it's just a force of habit from having done this for so long, but I'm used to sort of talking very quickly to get as much information out as possible. So, Linda, thank you for having that note paper ready. I'm going to aim to have this posted tomorrow. I have a very busy day here tomorrow, so if I don't get this posted during the morning, I'm going to hopefully get this up by tomorrow afternoon at the latest. And as always, I do take pictures of the tea leaf reading, the general weekly tea leaf readings on Monday nights, and I do post that on my community tab for you to look at afterwards. So I try and get it up, posted the day after, just for your reference. And that's something that I'd like to do, just so that you can look at the tea leaves yourself if you'd like to. MM Holistics, hey, thanks so much for being here. Hope that you enjoyed the reading tonight. So let's get this reading ready. And as I do, there's all of these like little quick reminders. But another quick reminder is how I myself do read tea leaves. So I guess let's back up for 1/2 a second and say tea leaf reading. And for all of those of you in the chat, I know this is totally old hat for you. But for those of you who are either watching now live or on the replay, just so that you know, in case you're not aware, what is tea leaf reading? Tea leaf reading is a divination tool, which means it's a way to ask for and receive divine guidance. How I myself read tea leaves is it's chronologically based. That's how I myself do it. So it is now on the way in later. The rim is like what's happening right now. So for in our case, this is like Monday, like happening like right now. Around the middle of the mug is around, for us in this circumstance for a weekly reading, is around Wednesday thereabouts. And then the base is like this weekend heading into next week. Read it. Tea leaf reading in a nutshell, how I describe it, is that it describes the qualities and or characteristics of events and or situations which are likely to occur. I know it's a very big mouthful to say, but that's the most succinct way that I have discovered how I can just very quickly and easily describe what tea leaf reading is. So we'll look at the images which are formed by the leaves in the cup. They all mean different things. It can be literal, symbolic, or both, and we go from there essentially. In case you're wondering, I do have a Patreon account. I'm very much behind on my Patreon. It's very much a work in progress, but no pressure by any means. But if you are interested in ever booking a private reading or giving me buying me a coffee or buying my little, well, she's still little. She is a little lab, basically. My chocolate lab, a biscuit. You're most welcome to have I have a Ko-fi account. Never any pressure. And we'll be back on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, where I'm going to be offering live viewer readings. So if you'd like to have a quick 5-minute tea leaf reading live on this channel, you're most welcome to come back on Thursday evening and have a quick reading there. Get this ready. 1, 2, 3. Flip it over. And now I'm going to turn this around 3 or 4 times. Is everyone ready for this week's reading? I have the leaves here. Excuse me. I'm going to show them to you quickly. I haven't really looked at them at all, so you're basically getting a closer look at them than I just did. There we are, and I will post these pictures. I aim to have them posted by tomorrow. So the way that we all sort of came up with collectively about how we do these readings is that I'm going to be turning my computer around momentarily, so I won't be seeing the chat. And this is what I meant earlier, I was referencing earlier, where in this case, Dragonfly, a beautiful moderator, she'll be looking after the chat, making sure that it's running smoothly. So that way I can read for all of you uninterrupted. Turning the computer around right now, so not being rude, but this way I can focus on the leaves, focus on the reading. Please feel free to put validations in the chat if you want to. Do not feel like you ever need to. It's only if you wish to. I concur. It looks like for right this second, like right now, there is a lot happening. Let me just count here. But essentially, there's a lot of different things happening. There's like 6 or 7 different events or situations that are taking place right now where things are calm and clear and quiet, and we're happy with that, or we want things to get moving a little bit more. But I would just say, generally speaking, it's a very, very, very busy week right now. Today is quite very busy right now. Okay, let's get into a bit more detail. But it looks like it's going to be a very busy week. Maybe more so than it has, than the leaves have been. More busy late, like for this week, than we have seen in previous general weekly tea leaf readings. The main event or situation, like the main core, the main hub, the main focus of this entire week, like the message for this, the main messages like for this week, it's comprising a good third. Yeah, I'm going to say a third of the cup. So in other words, it is quite significant. Now, backing up a little bit, what I'm really looking at with great interest are all of the tea leaves which are surrounding the main event or situation, which to me mean like there's other different things taking place this week, besides the main event or situation that's being shown here. Let's do a quick overview and then we'll go into more detail. Okay, so the main event or situation is comprised of, I would say, a situation where, generally speaking, we know where we stand, and in some cases, it's like we know where we're standing yet we don't at both we know where we're standing yet we don't at the same time. I would say that's true more so from around Wednesday or Thursday onwards, Wednesday to Friday. Overall, however, there is certainly discussions, thoughts, ideas, conversations, things more up in the air and being decided upon, being discussed throughout this entire week. There's just another way that you can interpret this as being that there's just like a lot of things going on. Hectic energy. There is a major sense of creativity, though, that ensues making new things, new creative projects, working with new people, the sense of creativity. That involves also partnerships, specifically, I would say, around Wednesday. those partnerships specifically, there's like, it's almost like there's three parties involved and two are less significant than another one. But really, this is, from what I'm seeing, the overriding message or the overall message generally for this week in terms of what's being shown in here is creativity, making new things, new creative projects. Now, it could even potentially be referencing children, like pregnancies, possibly. Like, I'm not saying that is the case. However, it may be the case where there could be some significance with children or a child or something to that effect. But it's like burgeoning creativity across the board overall in this main event or situation throughout this entire week. In like a couple different ways, that would be the case. Okay, so aside from that one main event, we have a side event, one that is related to this main event or situation, that is a short-term, very much a short-term scenario, that involves a new idea, a new concept that's being thought about, that is taking place around like today and tomorrow, I would say. That actually leads to, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4. Specifically, I'm going to say 5 separate, much smaller events or situations, individual scenarios, and they do last, and they do occur throughout the next few days, like throughout this week. They are not significant in and of themselves, but I'm just saying this in case this makes sense to you. Aside from that, yes, we have yet another event or situation that is off to the side of that main event or situation, where that is also the case. That one is also short term, I would say concludes by Tuesday. And in and of itself, that one concludes by Tuesday, but it does lead to, I'm going to sort of say basically 3 other, generally speaking, 3 other events or situations, which again are not significant in and of themselves. However, they are present. The thing is, like, these smaller events and situations, even though they may not be like hugely or vastly important, they do lead to an overall scenario. I'm going to say on it or around Friday. I would say most likely Friday, that for the most part concludes. It leads to Friday and then it ends sort of on Friday. It does lead into the base like this weekend heading into next week. And we can call that maybe 1, 2, 3, if not 4 individual scenarios that lead into this weekend. So in other words, yeah, like this is what I mean. The cup is quite hectic. There's just a lot taking place this week. Okay, now let's go into more detail on the main event or situation, and then let's go from there. Going back up, there was that one side event that I mentioned just a minute or so ago that has that conclusion that I mentioned, that's short term, that ends by around Tuesday or so. So let's look at that because that is also taking place imminently. So yes, a lot of things up in the air, thoughts, ideas, conversations, discussions, things of that nature that include the concept of like the theme or the quality of independent thought and keeping your thoughts very clear because things are happening quite quickly. I would say in that situation, there's also like, you can even have like the number 11 specifically involved in some way, shape, or form, and it's some kind of conclusion that is a small conclusion. There's a Cancerian connection, person, place, or thing. So someone who is either that sign, the qualities of that sign are likely involved in that scenario. And this is helping to create an unconventional stability. There even may be 2 people or 2 instances of that home and home. I'm no astrologer nor a numerologist, but like the home and hearth, emotions, intuition, feeling, healing, things of things along those lines taking place. And that creates a small, well, not small, it is a notable conclusion. There's 3 instances of Cancerian. So this is, it can even be 3 people or 3 instances in some way, shape, or form. Small reminder here for perspective, perception, glass half full versus glass half empty. But receiving very good things, though. It may actually be involving house and home, maybe involving thinking of moving, but if so, it's just not that time yet. Or if you are thinking of moving, it may involve, like, it could be anything from buying a bath mat to thinking about moving. I just would say that's just not quite time yet for that to take place, but it may be in the thinking stages. But somehow this is all related to a conclusion of some kind. But you are receiving, like I would say, like we are receiving very good things with this. It's just very interesting. It's also using our intellect as well as a positive change, something along those lines, as well as abundance and prosperity. And just keeping our minds very, very clear about what it is that we want to have out here, because it looks like from what I'm seeing, this week is going to be crazy, and I can already concur. I don't know about you, but today alone, yes. Okay, so let's keep going. So aside from that, around this is again, we're looking around Tuesday still. There was another smaller, much less significant thought or idea or opportunity that's being presented or discussed that helps to create a situation where we are receiving something very positive. Likely involves a document. Now, this could even be this is either paperwork, some form of paperwork, and or education connection in some way, shape, or form. But we are receiving very good things with this. Person, place, or thing with the letters C and or L involved in that scenario. There's something to do with I think didn't house in our home come up last Monday? If you watched last Monday's reading, can you remember that? Maybe could you just mention that in the chat? Like, I'm so sure that came up. I'm sure it did, but I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it did. But yeah, there's some connection with the house and her home that's being shown in here. Yeah. And again, there may be that small delay of maybe it's not progressing the way that we wanted to, or maybe it's just not happening the way that we wanted to, or whatever the case is, but it is being shown. But this is all helping to create a sense of unconventional stability. So backing up, what do I mean by that? Big long phrase. So unconventional stability means for myself, for example, I use examples a lot because that's how I describe tea leaf reading. That's how I really convey messages that I see in tea leaf reading. Because what this is referring to specifically, God knows I do not. All the information comes from the boss. But unconventional stability to me means, for example, you paint boxes, sell them online, and you make money. It's unconventional, but it does give us a sense of security and stability. But that's what's happening in here. In two different ways, we are receiving unconventional stability in that regard from those situations. Based on what I'm seeing, keeping our thoughts very clear and positive, which is what I've already said, and just maybe prioritize, be as productive as possible, pace ourselves as much as possible, because it looks like it's almost like frenetic energy from what I'm seeing. The way that this, from what I'm seeing in here, it looks like this is how the week is going to be unfolding at this moment in time, as of right now. Now we're looking at the main event or situation. There's a very small situation taking place right now, seemingly very insignificant, but it helps to lead and or create, depending on how you want to look at it, to this main event or situation. Again, we have this Cancerian connection, someone who is that sign and or the qualities and or characteristics of that sign being present like now and into tomorrow. There also may be a Leo connection and or a person, place, or thing with the letter S and or the number 5, S and or 5 that's involved. There also may be a Libran connection, but I would say likely S or 5, but saying Libra in case it may apply to you. There's also a Scorpio connection at around this time too. So we're looking in and around tomorrow. This is likely someone who is wise. Now it could be Scorpio, and if it's not Scorpio, it could also be referencing someone who is very wise, like a teacher, an authority figure of some kind. And we have this feeling, this was what I just was saying, this feeling of fast-paced movement taking place. Starts right off the bat as of tomorrow in two different instances, one much smaller, one slightly larger. But regardless, it's this fast-paced movement. Okay, so around this time, yeah. So again, creativity, making something new creative projects, creating new things in some way, shape, or form. Open communication, it's a small instance, but still open communication between two people. And again, things are taking place rather quickly. Action momentum. Again, I keep saying it, but I keep seeing it. Cancerian references. So the qualities and or characteristics of that sign being present again on Tuesday in that scenario specifically. Again, we have another small instance of abundance and prosperity. Reassurance, things taking place rather quickly. This is just a really quick Look here, Dragonfly was a Scorpio. I know. Scorpio has been coming up quite a bit lately. But it is a positive scenario. We have a happy face right there with Scorpio, right beside Scorpio. Whatever this instance of abundance and prosperity regarding this document, it is good. It does look positive. There's also communications, messages, news, and or information regarding this. It's present, as well as a helpful individual. I would say likely an authority figure, but this has possibly, it has something to do with writing. This is what I mean. It could be contracts, documents, paperwork, whatever the case is, even education. But it looks good. Like it looks like a good scenario. Again, another unconventional stability being present. Letter M, person, place, or thing, as well as possibly two, could be that and or two opportunities that are being shown. Still around Tuesday. Let's keep going on. Again, small reminder for perspective, glass half full versus glass half empty. I mean, it looks positive. It looks like there's this abundance and prosperity that's being shown. There's some kind of messages, communication arriving regarding it. It looks like it just needs to be sort of sorted out in some way, shape, or form. There's an organization that is some kind of tidying up or sorting out regarding that abundance and prosperity. But it is a new opportunity that's being shown in here as well. I would just say it's a glass half full versus glass half empty message as well. I mean, I could say it again to be repetitive, but this creativity, new creative projects, new beginnings, new opportunities, possible pregnancy again being referenced. There's a number 3. I'm not a numerologist by any means, but it could be like working with other people. It just looks by like around Wednesday, especially, things are looking very positive, and this is good. And this is where we have like happy faces, and it's like, okay, let's live life and let's get on with things and form the partnerships and be creative. Again, we do have another possible Scorpio connection being referenced around Tuesday. This does involve an intellect and or some kind of positive change that's being referenced. It looks good, like we're crying happy tears. And this involves organization, like there's a broom, so like organization, physically like tidying in terms of like sorting things out, being tidy. Writing things down as well. Action momentum, things taking place rather quickly. Possible Aries connection. Again, Aries and or Scorpio together at the same time. Connection in some way, shape, or form regarding that. Letter L and or C, again, person, place, or thing. 2 documents. Fast-paced movement. I keep seeing that. There's also reassurance that's being indicated regarding one document specifically that has essentially 3 parts to it, 2 major, 1 less so. 1 major, 1 smaller, 1 smaller. Possible Irish connection on around Wednesday in some way, shape, or form. Stability. This is where the partnerships begin to sort of really form. New opportunities, receiving good things, Cancerian connection, house being still in the process of getting sorted out. Abundance and prosperity, yes. Something to do with the house and her home. I keep seeing it. Good size conclusion. But involves some kind of writing, and it looks like a good scenario of some kind of writing, a document or paperwork in some way, shape, or form. And it's like it almost leads to or creates a scenario where we have positive forward movement, almost like we're standing in our power. We're creating something new. It's like we've planted something and it's blooming into fruition. It's taking form nicely. House and or home in some way, shape, or form. You're on Wednesday. Letter U. Documents again. Likely a person with the letter L that's involved. Action momentum with this individual. I would say it's a helpful person. Now, it's possible that they are a departed loved one. The only other two characteristics that I can give about this individual, whether they are physically here and or a departed loved one, is that they are fair-haired, with the letter N, tall, like tall, lean, build, with the letter L in the name. There's reassurance regarding that individual, though, and somehow, and in some connection. And also, I was hesitating because it looks like there may be some smooching taking place. If it's not physical smooching, then it's like, again, this partnership that I keep seeing referenced in a few different ways, where it's like two forces coming together to create a new opportunity in some way, shape, or form. And that's where the letter U and or possibly V is coming from, and also the letter S. U and or V and or S that's involved. I mean, as a result of that, it looks like it's a good scenario. It leads to another scenario where we have the letter V as well, and helpful people. Small reminder too, not as much as small, but a small a reminder here as well that the angels are always around us. We can always ask for divine assistance should we wish to. But again, I keep seeing house and home, house and home, house and home. I keep seeing it again here on around Wednesday or Thursday taking place as well. Okay, going on a little bit. I'm not taking my time here, but just want to make sure that I'm giving you as much as possible. It's quite a lot in here. Around Thursday, we have a scenario where we're not supposed to know everything is a bit of a surprise, but we do have communications likely arriving about the house and our home and our family, and it's abundance and prosperity, and somehow it's like a protection regarding that. Doesn't mean like, oh, we're in danger, but it means like there's protection regarding that. There also may be a scenario that involves education, acquiring knowledge in some way, shape, or form, whether that's like reading, there's an open book. Reading books, writing books, taking courses, teaching courses, something like that. This acquiring of knowledge. So taking some time out to do so. We may find that for ourselves. The qualities of unconditional love, support, loyalty, commitment, protection, companionship, guardianship, as well as a new chapter, creating something new, this forward movement as well, specifically regarding that, as well as a document that has 3 separate parts to it. And that's where we have abundance and prosperity regarding that as well. But there's, throughout this entire scenario, there's a lot of talking, especially I would say from Wednesday to Friday. There's a lot more conversations, ideas, a lot more thinking that's taking place, generally speaking, as we go through this week. Okay. We also have a scenario around Thursday to Friday. I would say more closely to Friday, but Thursday into Friday, where we're not supposed to know all the information either, but we do have, it's like a cheeky, quirky scenario where we have action, momentum. Things are taking place rather quickly. There's communication that we are receiving regarding that. Likely have some bearing on the house and our home and our family in some way, shape, or form, like a physical like house. But there's also reassurance regarding that, but it's like it's a new kind of reassurance. It could even be new messages, communication in some way. It's something new. But again, this could be even regarding like a new creative project, something that new that we've just created that is just taking form, something to that effect. Small reminder to take some time out for our own self-care, whatever that may be for each of us individually, whatever that may be. Reading, writing, yoga, whatever the case is, but taking some time out for our own self-care, which makes sense given from everything that I'm seeing in here. Okay, going ahead a bit further, I'm going to go straight down into the base. Yeah, again, we have another Scorpio connection heading into the weekend, heading into next week, this weekend, heading into next week. Positive messages, news, information. This is likely regarding 2 individuals. It may be a romantic scenario. I'm going to leave it at that and not go into any more details. I'll leave that one alone. Maybe that, but there's positive news regarding that. There also could be a letter T and J involved, J and or T. It's a positive scenario. It's a good scenario. We're smiling. There's a happy, winky, happy emoji face in there. Aside from that, looking into this week and heading into next week, there's essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 parts to it. The largest one is more quiet. So we're happy that things are calm and clear and quiet, and or we want things to get moving a little bit more. That is also mostly true for another secondary scenario where things are quiet, a little bit more significant, a bit more things happening, even though it's a quieter or smaller scenario. Then we have essentially 2 other scenarios, which could almost be thought of as it's either one that has 2 parts or 2 parts that are one. And that's where we have more activity taking place. There's more things happening. Again, in that scenario, we have Scorpio connection again, protection that's being indicated. I'm not like, oh, we're in danger, but like, yes, protection is involved. And to me, we all have divine protection. Abundance and prosperity forming beautifully. That also involves the qualities of like being safeguarded, knowing that we're never alone. We have unconditional love and support and loyalty, commitment regarding that, those qualities regarding that scenario that are present. There's action, speed, momentum, things taking place rather quickly. Helpful individual, again, who is like an authority figure, who knows what they're talking about, the sacredness, the spiritual connotation or connection, as well as reassurance, but a lot of protection, a lot of like knowing that we're not alone. That's what I keep seeing in here, as well as reassurance. And that house connection as well is present again this weekend, heading into next week. Person, place, or thing with the letter C and or M that's involved. A very unique scenario, standing in our power, not being held back, going for whatever it is that we want to have. It's almost like a very unique partnership that leads to that in some way, shape, or form. You also have the letter V that's involved. Person, place, or thing. Yeah, reassurance. So essentially, that is the main core of the messages that I am seeing. So that is the tea leaf reading for this week. I will start breathing again. Wow, that was crazy. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat now. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. That was wild. Hectic week, Steve. Well, I was hoping to hear. Well, it looks like that's, yeah, it looks pretty crazy, Steve. Dragonfly, 57 days till spring. Time to get planting. Yes. Yes, that's very true. Oh, that's a good idea. I needed to hear that, actually. Need to make an advent calendar, but counting down. Oh, dear. My screen doesn't always want to work here. Ah, there we go. Steve, need to make an advent calendar, but counting down to spring. Yes, absolutely. I don't remember the exact dates of the spring equinox, but isn't it like... I'm not thinking clearly right now, but it's on the way. It's in the next couple months. House came up in last week's reading. Thank you, MM Holistic. That's what I thought. I'm like, I was sure it would come up last week. It was in here repeatedly, like what, 5, 6 or so times, I think. Awesome. Dragonfly was a Scorpio. I don't know. So Scorpio to me can be referencing someone who is that sign and or the qualities and or like whenever I see any references to astrological signs, symbols, however they are presented, however, like if it's constellation, whatever the case is. To me, I'm no astrologer at all, but to me, when I see that in a tea leaf reading, to me, it's either someone who is that sign and or the qualities and or characteristics of that sign somehow involved. So it could be like transformation, changes in this case, new beginning, something to that effect. Again, I'm no astrologer, but those are the meanings that I associate with that. But yeah, Scorpio, that was, again, quite a few times in this cup for sure. Veronica, hey, thanks for being here. Steve, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Veronica, thank you for everything I need to hear. Positive. Yeah, I'm glad that you liked it, Veronica. That was awesome. Dragonfly, great reading, busy week. Thanks. Oh, thank you so much, Dragonfly, for being here and for keeping an eye on things. You were lovely. Thank you for making sure everything ran smoothly. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate that and for taking time out of your busy evening, Monday evening, to hang out and to join us here. So thank you so much. I think we're going to close it out now, but I hope that everyone has an amazing week ahead. It looks like it's going to be pretty busy, especially from like Wednesday onwards to Friday. It's going to be pretty insane. But I would just say let's pace ourselves. Let's breathe and just, pace ourselves as much as possible because it looks like it's going to be a really crazy week ahead. So thank you, everyone. This was so much fun. This was really fun. Well, I love each and every single one of you. Let's hang in there. Thank you for everyone for all of your help and for hanging out here. So appreciate all of you. And hope to see you again here on Thursday. So as of now, I'll be live again on Thursday evening at 8 p.m. and we'll do live viewer readings. And if anything ever changes, I always post on my community tab at least a few hours before I go live, just to confirm if I'm going live or not in case scheduling changes or anything. But yeah, right now we're aiming for Thursday at 8 p.m. So hope to see you there as well. So thank you, everyone. I love you so much. Can't wait to see you again. And let's see you again, hopefully on Thursday. Love you so much. Take care.